everyone, and welcome to this reading. Today is going to be a fun reading, and we are trying to discover what was one of your past lives like in other places in the universe. Okay, so on another planet, in another galaxy, and stuff like that. In order to help you choose, I have here 3 decks prepared. Okay, so group number 1 gets the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Group number 2 gets this deck by El Dios de los Tres, and group number 3 gets the Akashic Tarot deck. Okay, so group number 1, group number 2, group number 3. Please take your time, make your choice, and I'll see you at your reading. Hi, group number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Okay, I'm gonna start with this. Let's see. What was your past life like on another planet or in other parts of the universe? Okay, so first we're gonna get some information about you and what were you like. And I might speed this up a little bit so we won't waste time with the spread. Okay, so what I'm seeing here for you in that past lifetime. First of all, it seems like you had quite an ordinary life. So this was a pretty ordinary planet, sort of similar to Earth in certain ways. We have the High Priestess reversed. So that tells me that there wasn't a whole lot of psychic abilities going on. So during this lifetime you did not have any telepathic abilities. That the race, the species you were part of, you did not have any telepathic abilities, and your religious beliefs were very, very basic. Okay, so it kind of feels like you are respecting your ancestors. You had this cult of death, something very similar to what the ancient Egyptians had. I see that you were quite a very accomplished person. So you were doing very well for yourself. You were a hard worker. Some of you might have been mining or working, I don't know, mining precious metals or mining precious stones. These were very valuable resources. I see commerce. Okay, so you were like selling these. So you might have been some sort of a miner or a merchant or a business person who owned mines and traded these precious stones, crystals. I'm hearing crystals. Okay, crystals. And since we have the journey card, it might have been some sort of a material that was very important in travel, and it could also be like in space travel. You are quite focused around possessions in this lifetime. Very focused on possessions. Very focused on like getting as much as you can. And you're sort of like basing your life on luck. So you're quite like the typical merchant here from what I'm seeing. I do see that you have quite a beautiful family life. And you're not like a bad person. You are a caring person, but you are just focused on material things. I'm seeing for a lot of you that you might have been like short of stature. Okay, so shorter than you are in this lifetime on Earth. Okay, you were shorter back then, a bit stocky. Okay, and maybe very pale. You enjoyed wearing very luxurious clothes, very luxurious items. You're a very friendly person. You are a very good communicator. You're very open to people. Okay, so it's like you're a very pleasant person overall. And I feel like you were a little bit like sleek. Okay, because as a merchant, if you're a merchant, I'm sensing that for a lot of you, you might have been like some sort of a merchant. But whatever it is, you did make really good money. You knew how to deal with everyone. That's what I'm getting. You knew how to talk to everyone. You were very, very smart in that aspect. Some of you might have known about Earth back then. A part of your individuals of your species have traveled to Earth. They might have inspired people from ancient Egypt in certain aspects. Okay, so this is like this... You might have visited Earth at some point in your existence during that lifetime as well. You were very eccentric. I see that you like to wear very flashy colors. You're very artistic. There was something like you actually really did stand out. There was a lot of colors on you. You enjoyed being noticed. So for some of you, I kind of like, I'm even seeing like blue hair, but just a lot of colors and a lot of decoration on your outfits. Right? And you and jewelry, you might have like enjoyed jewelry. I see that you had an affinity for gold. Your society, your culture valued gold, and especially they valued like the gold from Earth. I feel like you were sort of like communicating with other species, other races, other planets, and I don't know, trying to offer them knowledge or trying to connect with them, like in this very empathic way. Okay, so it was not about war with your society and with you. Okay, it was more like a share of experience and sharing knowledge. You were more like I don't know, like I said, like merchants, like traders. Okay, you were trading something for something else. Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna clear this out and let's see what was your planet like. What did you see when you when you would wake up, when you would go out of your house? What else? Although I kind of described a lot of things already. Okay, but just real quick. Right, so when it comes to the planet you used to live on, I'm seeing here a sun. Okay, so you might have only seen a sun. I don't see any satellites, so no moons for you here. Okay, there might have not been a satellite to begin with. I'm seeing here that the weather was pretty similar to that on Earth. I'm seeing very luxurious vegetation. A lot of vegetation. You had waters, you had a plain field, you had mountains, not very high mountains. I'm not seeing very high mountains, but you had a lot of lush vegetation. It was like, and with this wishes fulfilled card, I feel like it was almost like a paradise. So everything was very predictable and very stable and very abundant. There's this sense of abundance. I feel like your society discovered how to use nature to their advantage and like get as much as they could from it. I'm sensing like a very strong connection to nature, okay, to the cycles of nature, understanding the cycles of nature and how to work with it. The ground is very fertile. In most parts of that planet, very fertile. You always got like a very good crop. So whenever you went outside your house, you see this like very luxurious landscape. Okay, like always green or always colorful. Not always green. It's like very colorful. There's a lot of color, and I feel like I said in the previous spread about yourself, you know. A lot of your kind were very artistic, very keen on colors, like everything on the planet reflected on them, right? So very strong, vibrant colors all the time. I see that I do see the religious element. Okay, you had a combination of old religious beliefs combined with scientific beliefs. It's very hard to describe. So it's like sort of like you were towards on the scientific side, obviously, since you could travel in space, but at the same time you still had these old religious beliefs, very traditional sort of. So there's a combination between those two. I see you had some sort of temples or churches and people who would preach on the streets about various things, and you would see them, like you would see early in the morning. I'm hearing early in the morning, or what, you know, like when it wasn't even like daylight yet. Okay, you would see them with lights walking on the streets and preaching and talking about stuff. You had quite extraordinary buildings, very extra. Like you had like normal people would live. You lived in this very beautiful house, very spacious house, right? Usually made out of natural materials, but you had quite impressive buildings. So it was a lot more advanced than what we see on Earth today. Technology, the building technology was a lot more advanced. However, you did enjoy keeping things simple. Okay, so there was not a lot of like clutter. Okay, there was a lot of color, but there was not a lot of clutter. Okay, so I think that's about it. Okay, I'll leave it at this. Okay, group number 1, this was your reading. I hope it was helpful. I hope it resonated, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hi, group number 2, you chose the deck by El Dios de los Tres. This will be your reading. Okay, so we're gonna get the energy on what were you like first. Okay, and I'm gonna speed up this process so that we don't waste a lot of time. Okay, so for you, group number 2 is a completely different story here. Okay, it's actually a pretty sad story. I'm seeing here a traveler, but this is not a traveler who traveled because they enjoy traveling. Okay, unlike the group number 1, I'm seeing here somebody who had to escape from a place of war, from a place of disaster. I'm seeing here mostly war, and was some sort of a civil war on that planet of yours, okay, on the planet that you lived on. So it was like a civil war. It was something that happened on the inside. I feel like it was mostly like due to lack of communication, very radical factions here. Okay, so like 2 choices, but none of those choices were the good choice. And I see here that you had to run away from that situation. You had to escape from that situation. Find another alternative. Okay, so you actually escaped that planet, and you had to like be on your own. There is a lot of healing energy here with the 4 of Swords and the Divine Physician associated with the journey. I feel like you were very traumatized by this experience. You spent a big chunk of your life on that planet during war times. Okay, so that's basically all you've ever known, and when things got really bad, you basically had to escape to save your life. You escaped with very little, from what I'm seeing. It was a difficult life, and you had to be on your own and make it on your own. And I see here that you were a very smart person. Okay, you were a survivor, you were a fighter. You tried your best to get by with as little as you had, and you had very little. This was a society that was already in contact with other societies from other planets, or from other parts of the universe. You had the ability to travel through space. Physical wise, I see you as a tall person. You might have been very tall, very thin, very skinny, almost like, I'm hearing for some of you, always starving, always hungry. I'm so sorry about that. That's just like, this is a really sad reading now. Always like almost like fasting. Okay, so like being very economic, always eating just as much as your body needed to survive. Okay, so not gorging, not being luxurious. You looked aged. You've always looked like too old for your age, and grumpy, like very serious, always very serious. And you wore these very somber outfits. Okay, like very serious outfits, one colored outfits, always covered. You always kept your head covered, and you always had like a cape on you, around you. Okay, so it's like you always look so secretive. Very mysterious, very secretive, and very mysterious, and very serious. For some of you, you might have sold your knowledge. Some of you might have been some sort of like a scientist or something of that sort, even like a healer, a doctor of some sort. Your voice was very deep. It doesn't matter the gender. Okay, so it's like sort of like on the deeper side, but also soft. So there was this roughness and gentleness to you at the same time. That lifetime of yours was described best as constantly on the move, constantly looking for your place. You were somebody who, without a home, without a place to settle down. Okay, so I'm gonna get this out of the way and see what would you see when you like would look out a window. What was your life in general? Okay, so on what you used to see, Well, as you can tell from this spread, not a whole lot of good things. You saw a lot of sickness. You saw a lot of conflict, hopelessness. There was this sense of hopelessness. There's this, people turning against each other. No space to negotiate. No space for peace. I see, like, you've seen a lot of people uprooted. People who had to flee, people who had to go away, far away from that place. Your former planet, from what I'm seeing, like had one sun, okay, one sun that was obvious on the sky, and two moons. But I'm seeing here like one of the moons might have been blown up. It might have been destroyed during this conflict for whatever reason, and it kind of affected the planet overall. I'm seeing here a deserted planet, like wiped out. There's not a lot of resources where you came from. By the time you had to go, you had to leave it, there was not a lot of resources left. There was a lot of hunger, a lot of desperation here. People living in horrific conditions. I do see here that you, after you left, you were a very determined individual. Like I said, gender doesn't matter. You manifested something for yourself. You had a lot of knowledge, a lot of abilities in order to start new, in order to survive in like a new environment. And I see that you were a hard worker. Like, you put a lot of effort into this, and one of the main things that you did during your travels was to spread awareness on these issues. Okay, like whenever you had the opportunity to talk about it, you would talk about it. So you might have been like an ambassador of peace at some point at the end of your life. Whatever you've achieved by the end of that life of yours, you've achieved it through very, very hard work. And that fear and that trauma of those conflicts never actually left you. They never left you. You had nightmares at night. You used to have nightmares. You used to dream of everything that you saw. You witnessed that moon being blown up, the moon being destroyed. You witnessed that. You witnessed the effect it had on the planet, on your former planet. It was quite devastating. You still remember those fields, those plain fields, burned out fields, dry fields. You still remember those. And dry trees. Everything was dry. Everything was dead on that planet by the time you left. But I am seeing that by the end of your life, you became like a very, very important figure in raising awareness on the social matters, war matters, and preventing these sort of situations from happening again. Okay, so I'll get one clarifying card for this Archangel Gabriel, okay? So it's like this sense of communication, a lot of communication and trying to maintain peace, and you had had some, yeah. So you clearly, there was like, after that, and because of your intervention, also your intervention, it might have been like more people, in like individuals involved, not people, because you're not human. There was some sort of like a committee, like a galaxy committee or something of that sort, like a federation almost, like that was created in order to prevent these sort of things from happening, like to discuss what happened and then try to learn from those mistakes and not allow it to happen again. Okay, so it's something similar to that. Okay, so yes, group number 2. This was your reading. I hope it was helpful. I hope it resonated, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hi, group number 3. You chose the Akashic Tarot deck. Let's see. I'm gonna start with getting some cards for your energy, okay, to describe you. What were you like back then? And I'm gonna speed this up a little bit so we can save a little bit of time, okay? Okay, so what I'm seeing here is group number 3. Very interesting energies. You lived in that place, in the universe, or on that planet, at a very important time in their evolution, in the evolution of that species, of that society, okay? I'm seeing here somebody who was like you're most likely like very, very tall, slender, athletic, Okay, slender but athletic. Okay, so you had like very pronounced muscles, like very long lean muscles. You were a very good warrior. It doesn't matter the gender. Okay, this was a society where both men and women, like feminines and the masculines, were seen as equals. So this was a very like it was a very warrior-like society, a society centered on fighting, a society centered on well, bad deeds actually, although very advanced technologically at the same time. So incredibly advanced technologically, very intelligent species, but at the same time quite aggressive, quite warrior-like. And you lived in that society, you lived on that specific planet at a time when they were going through a, I don't know, spiritual revolution. Okay, so there was something that happened, see here, like that started to bring out some sort of a balance. Okay, some sort of an ascension, some sort of a spiritual awakening within that planet, which led to a more loving environment. So you lived through quite revolutionary times. Okay, very sort of dramatic in a sense, but it didn't happen in a very dramatic way. Like a spiritual wave was introduced in a very subtle way, like somebody might have infiltrated this society in order to help with the ascension. Okay, so it kind of changed the course of history like that. So we do have intervention here, but it's almost like a divine intervention. So it was an intervention, but it was a very subtle intervention. For some of you, you might have been the equivalent of star seeds on Earth. You might have been the equivalent on that planet. Okay, so you incarnated as one of those beings, but with a higher spiritual knowledge. Okay, a higher spiritual understanding. You know what I mean? And you were like preaching this, like the love and light and peace and calmness and like all of that on the planet in order to bring forth this huge shift. You are very respected within your community. So you got at the very high status here. You are very wise. You are seen as very wise. Some of you might have had like a high status within that society. Others just like you might have been teachers. You might have been preachers, but you were not like persecuted. So you were very like smart about it. Okay, you knew how to infiltrate this, almost like a spy or like a virus. You're sort of like a virus within this society, spreading the good virus. You know what I mean? So it wasn't bad. Like it brought a sense of self-reflection here. You're quite an impressive looking being, individual, very impressive. Like I said, very tall, very athletic, very intimidating. Your entire race was pretty intimidating, very feared, especially because of their like knowledge and their aggressiveness. Okay, so I'm gonna get these cards out of the way and see what you used to see when you got out of your house, or like what was your house like, what was your planet like. Okay. So I'm seeing here a very conservative environment, okay? This was a very conservative society that you used to live in. For those who lived within this society, everything was fine, okay? So there was like a hierarchy that was strictly respected, okay? Nobody went out of line here. There was this sense of duty, there was this sense of honor that was instilled in everyone. And you had all these, like when you used to go outside, you had all these buildings, like very severe looking buildings, grayish looking buildings, or like official buildings. You had some sort of an organized religion, you had some sort of temples, but there was also like a part of the political scheme or something of that sort. So within this society, there was no conflict. As long as the rules were respected, I feel like there was no conflict. Everything was going fine, and it was like this very traditional society where everything was passed on from one generation to another. If the system worked, they didn't change it. I'm not seeing a lot of mountains here, so there might have been no mountains on this planet, just like a couple of hills and just like a field, like a long field. You did have vegetation, so it wasn't like completely dry land. And I see like the weather was pretty, it was hot, but it was humid at the same time. And I'm seeing three suns on the sky, so I'm not sure how that worked out. But it's very, I don't know, I feel like it's very odd. Is that even possible? I'm not a, like, I don't know much about that, okay? But it was like, usually it was like hot and humid. It's like a rainforest, almost like a rainforest vibe. Overall, this society was very flourishing, okay? So everybody, like I said, as long as everyone respected the rules, there were no issues. You kind of feel like it feels like a very organized system. I'm seeing like tall buildings, okay? So you didn't have mountains, but you had really tall buildings, all very severe looking, very gloomy looking. Not a lot of color happening here, okay? Everyone was very like uniform like. Of course, after everything changed, like with this like spiritual revolution, everything was changing, okay? So you would see more and more individuals meditating, or like almost like a new religion being created, okay? But you live during the time, like during the time of during at the beginning of those times when this religion was initiated, right? So like a new religious movement that brought enlightenment and also knowledge. This Nine of Wands energy kind of feels like although the system worked during your existence, it was kind of starting to pull people back. There's this sense of burnout, like might have been some time of unrest. And this is what also helped with this revolution, okay? Like people were already getting tired of it, like it's not going anywhere, it's not benefiting anyone, you know what I mean? It was like overdue. That revolution was long overdue, and that's what happened. So it's like this, you get, on one hand, you get a very conservative society, very stuck in their ways, very traditional, and on the other side you see this like behind the scenes you see people being restless and being unhappy about things and starting to look at things from a very different perspective, or like almost some light has been shed on certain issues. So there might have been a lot of corruption going on here as well, like people holding on to power, and others were not very happy about it and asking for a new system, asking for a new beginning, and this is what helped that transformation. Yeah, but I think this is it, group number 3. Okay, so I hope it was fun, I hope it resonated, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.